Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today is Blog Hop Day for the Brutus Monroe Inspiration Team, and we have been challenged to make non-traditional Christmas cards. So I'm going to use this string light stamp set along with some Aqua pigments. I don't end up using sterling. I grab a different color instead. And I'm also going to use this stencil. This was a stencil of the month back from July, but if I can find it, I will absolutely link that down below. So let's get started with what we're making. I have some Spun Sugar Distress ink, and I am just going to ink that up with my mini ink blending tool and sponge that loosely all over the back. I just want to have something down on the background just to add to the card itself, because this image isn't very big. And so I'm going to stick this into my mini Misti, and this was a piece of watercolor paper. This is ARTEZA expert watercolor paper. I think I forgot to mention that. And I'm going to close the door of the Misti. But before I do that, I've decided, instead of using the sentiment that came from that set, which says shine on, and it would work for non-traditional Christmas, I decided to grab Happy Holidays. I thought that would work out pretty nicely as well, and that one comes from the Gingerbread Village. So you could use shine on, but I wanted to actually make you think this is definitely a Christmas card. So I'm inking this up with some Raven Detail ink because this is waterproof, and I plan to do some watercoloring with Aqua Pigments. I love the Aqua Pigments. I hope y'all snagged some during the Black Friday sale, because there was a heck of a sale on pretty much everything. So yeah, they were so generous this year, and so I really hope you guys got your hands on some of the goodies. Alright, now that I'm done stamping, I am going to lay out some of those Aqua Pigments on my glass mat. That color is Fuschia, and I'm going to grab some Turquoise. And this is where I was looking, thinking, do I want to use sterling? And I decide against it, so I grab Pearl. And I'm just going to take a very tiny bit of Pearl, and I'm going to put a tiny drop with each one of my colors, because I plan to mix that in, and it'll give it some shimmer. And then I'm also going to grab Gilded, and that already has some shimmer in it, so we're good to go there. I'll grab my paintbrush and then really mix that around, the Pearl around with the Turquoise, and start coloring a few of those baubles. I figured when I was thinking non-traditional, you would absolutely possibly be hanging some sort of garland on something, right? But I chose non-traditional colors. So the colors that I chose were like a blue and a pink, and I think that's fun. I'm much more traditional. I'm kind of a traditional gal, but I mean, there is something about some blues and pinks also. I have been known to make a Christmas card with some blues and pinks. But if you come to my house, you are going to see I am more of the country style prim kind of lady that has reds and greens and maybe some navy, but it is very much red and green. For my stars, I'm coloring it in with that Gilded. And then I do go back and finish in some of those lights. But these images are really tiny, so there isn't a lot of shadowing or shading that you'd need to do. And it's just a matter of just putting down some color and letting that do the work. I had some leftover Gilded, so I grabbed my paintbrush and I just splatter that all over that background. Don't want to waste a drop of that. And that'll add a bunch of shimmer and shine to my card base, or my card panel. And then I'll just take my microfiber cloth and I will wipe off the excess. That's the beauty of the glass mat. And now I'm going to cut down my card base, which is some of your Not Your Mama's cardstock. And this is super heavyweight. So a trick that I have learned is that when you take this to score, you definitely need like some sort of a Scor-Buddy. I'm scoring it at 4 1/4, but I do it on both sides. That causes the fibers in the paper to break down just a little bit, so that way when you go to fold your cardstock, you don't end up with some tearing or those harsh edges. So that is just a little tip. I'm going to decorate the inside of my card almost the same way as did as the outside, just by using the stencil and that Spun Sugar. And then I'm going to trim down my card panel because it ends up being a little bit too big. But before I do that, I'm going to heat set that just to make sure that everything is good and dry. I don't want to smear any of my Gilded, Aqua Pigment, or anything else. So I'll just trim that down with my guillotine trimmer. And there isn't much that needs to come off the side, but I'll stick it in there just to make sure. And then I'm going to grab the Brutus Monroe foam tape. And I love this stuff. It is super sticky, but it works so great for panels. If you want to pop up your whole panel, this stuff is fantastic for it. It's not crazy expensive like some of the others that are out there, and it does a great job. And so I'm just snipping it down, and I've covered the entire back because I want to make sure this mails just fine. And then to release my release paper, release it, I'm using a paper piercer. That is the one way I have found that works the easiest for getting the release paper to come off, is just shimming it in between the foam and the release paper. And then I'm going to stick that down to the front of my card base. And then that's going to do it, kids. That is done. Check out the shimmer. I love how this card turned out. It's super simple. You could crank these out pretty easy, and it was fun. So as I said, this is a part of a blog hop, so I'll have my blog listed down below so you can check out what everybody else has made. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I always appreciate all the love that you guys leave for the liking and subscribing and everything else. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye.